Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi. Joining me today is Dr. Bryan Szumlas, who is Chief Superintendent of the Calgary Catholic School District. Thanks for joining us today, Bryan.
You're welcome.
Well, I imagine this summer hasn't been a typical summer for you, considering everything. Have you had a break at all?
I actually started as Chief Superintendent on March the 1st, and I worked right through the summer. I was able to get away most weekends, but other than that, I was here most of the week preparing and getting ready for eventual start of the school year.
Okay, and now obviously a lot of parents are sitting there wondering how this is all going to unfold. Maybe can you give me some of the main points of how the school year is going to unfold this year?
So we have a school resumption handbook. It's available on our website, and it's really rooted in 5 points. And the first point being mandatory health checks, that every morning parents are expected to check with their child to make sure they're not presenting with any of the signs or symptoms of COVID-19. We expect the same of our staff, and if the individual has any sign or symptom, they are not to go to school or on that day. Second of all, is we're going to be incorporating more hand washing into our routines at school. If we can't have hand washing, it'll be more hand sanitizers, but that whole hygiene and trying to reduce the spread of germs. Point number 3 is the sanitization of desk surfaces. And so students and our staff will be working together to do that. We could see a teacher walking around the classroom, spraying the top of a desk, and then the child, wiping their desk down. I think it's really good as teachers that we all are part of safety and moving forward. So we need to teach our students their role and their part in keeping their environment safe. Point number 4 is wearing masks. The government has mandated masks in grades 4 to 12, but here in Calgary Catholic, we've stepped it up a notch where we've mandated masks as a district from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. And then lastly, physical distancing where possible. And I say where possible because we realize that in many of our classrooms that are sitting with 30 students, it's near impossible to have physical distancing. Having said that, we do believe in differentiation. So in a particular classroom, we may have some desks where they are situated 2 meters apart, and then other desks where maybe they're only 1 meter apart. And I share that with you because today we launched a new poster, and that poster is keep the space or cover your face. We want to keep this really simple for people, that if you don't have the 2 meter distance, the expectation is you're wearing a mask. But if you do have the 2 meter distance, then it is possible to take your mask off and have a bit of a mask break. So that's why I share this example of in a classroom, you may have a few desks that are separated 2 meters apart. So it's quick, student could go to that and work there for a short period of time, have a bit of mask break. There's other types of mask breaks, for example, taking the whole class outside so that you can have the distance, the kids can breathe some fresh air. So we want to incorporate that as much as possible into our days.
Okay, so you launched the online component as well. How many students have registered for that?
Yeah, so we did launch. We have 2 schools that are working with online learning. One is our brand new school for grades 1 to 9 called St. Isidore online school. And St. Isidore right now is sitting just over 5,000 students registered. Our high school students will be part of our St. Anne Academic Center, where 1,500 students. So altogether, at this point in time, 6,500 students registered for online learning. That's not surprising to us because when we first went forward with this, we were guessing 10%, and 10% would take us to 6,000. We're a little high. We're not done yet. Later this week, we will be opening up a second catchment for online learning that will extend into the first week of September, because we heard, I really value input from our staff, input from our families. And they said, Bryan, could you please give us a chance? We want to maybe see what it's like at our local school before we make our decision. I don't want anyone to be rushed, but the bottom line is we do have to make a decision because the school year is here. We need to start working with curriculum. We need to start moving forward. So, I apologize. I don't mean to rush anything, but there are some simple realities that we need to resume education and learning. And with that comes a timeline.
Okay. Now, when you look at the this year, obviously with the online and with a lot of the measures that you're bringing into the classrooms, I'm wondering what's the cost attached to all that? Are you looking at more expenses this year in the budget to handle all this?
Yeah, of course, there's going to be more expenses as we deal with COVID-19. And so it all started back in May when our Board of Trustees approved the budget. They allocated $3 million to invest in more teachers to help deal with COVID-19. That also resulted in about a $1.9 million ask to spend some of our reserves. We don't have a huge reserve, but it's in that area about just under 3% total of our budget. And we have about a just over $600 million budget to operate Calgary Catholic. And then we went back to our Board of Trustees here about 2 weeks ago and made another ask for additional money for noon hour supervision, about $1 million, and $2 million for enhanced cleaning. So, right now we're up to $6 million that we are investing in the COVID costs. In addition to that, we have purchased more hand sanitizers. We purchased masks and face shields before the province said that they were giving us some because we were being very proactive. We're still good with that because we know these are consumables that are going to get lost or, over time they get worn out. And so we're going to be using those with our population over the course of the year. But, that's just the beginning. And our Chief Financial Officer has been keeping a detailed log of all of the costs of COVID-19 so that we can account for it and report back to the public in the future as well.
Okay, I imagine there's going to be 1,000,001 questions that parents and students are going to have leading up to this as we come back to the schools. What's your advice for them and how to handle this transition, I guess?
Well, first of all, I would say we're all in this together. If we're going to have a successful re-entry into school, we need parental support. We need, we need staff support. We need to be informed. This information out there, I would encourage people to please go back to our resumption guide to read through it in detail. In fact, later today, we will be posting the second version of our school resumption handbook. The first version was posted last week, and this is a quote that I've said over and over again. Everything we learn about COVID-19 changes minute by minute, hour by hour, day. And last Thursday evening, Alberta Health released several new documents related to school resumption. We spent the weekend integrating new information that was in those documents into our handbook. Luckily, most of this stuff was already in our handbook, but we did get some clarification from Alberta Health around, what is an alert? What is an outbreak? What does that mean for a school? And so all of that information is in the revised handbook that will be public on our internet site later today.
Okay, thanks
so
a lot.
Lastly,
Sure.
Sorry, Mario, if I could just add one more thing. Parents, please help us by teaching children, how to properly put on a mask by washing or sanitizing your hands before. What do they do with it afterwards? Maybe, they're going to have a little Ziploc sandwich bag that they can store it in so they're just not throwing it on their desk. All of these things are new procedures. I ask parents to be patient with us as we work together to help educate students in their new reality of living in a world with COVID-19.
Okay, thanks for joining us today, Bryan.
You're welcome. Have a good day, and thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, that was Dr. Bryan Szumlas, who is Chief Superintendent of the Calgary Catholic School District. This is Mario Toneguzzi with It's Your Business. Thanks for joining us today.